Yeah, no, we need to nip that in the bud. Now, they did very much so nip QD in the bud. In fact, they just ripped the bud out of the ground and lit it on
There
fire
is no
and
more bud. I
stepped
don't
on it.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is no more bud.
they nuked the bud. They nuked the bud.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, T-Dog, lock in. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got the Mid-Season Championship. We've got Wang Yun's contract terminated. We got all types of players who are missing, including Jeannie Bouchard and Jack Sock, who are playing hooky. We got the trade deadline coming up. We got some middle fingers, and we got college teams playing against pro pickleball teams. Where do you even want to start from this past weekend in Grand Rapids?
Let's start with the Dallas Flash. They're still undefeated. Actually, I just tweeted this out today, posted on X. It's been 232 days since the Dallas Flash have lost a match. Zane, any ideas who they lost to?
That's all we have time for today, Erik. Thanks for popping on the pod again. Erik, when are we going to, when are we gonna, they were a good team. They are a good team. I don't need to, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. All right. Me and Maddie Pickles are sick of it. Maddie Pickles haters are just loving it. I mean, their last match they lost was the first match of the day on the finals day to us in Orlando.
Yep.
And then they won 2 in a row there, and then they've won like a million in a row since.
Yeah, they're 18-0 this year in terms of regular season and mid-season tournament. And the other crazy thing, not to pile on for you, Zane, I apologize, but it brings me satisfaction as well. They are now at 3.29 points per match because they were so close to 3 with the extra 6 points. They're actually averaging more than 3 points per match, which is absolutely insane. And
yeah, that's nuts, which means every time they play and win a 3-0 match, their average points per match is going to go down, which is actually just insane.
It is. Yeah. And actually, to show how good the Shock are as well, they are also now above 3 points per match at 3.07. So both are doing phenomenally well. But yeah, the Flash here's the deal with the Flash that I wanted to talk about is their weak link, which is crazy for me to be saying this, is JW and Augie. They are 9-5 in their 14 regular season games. Augie and Tyra are 10-4. And then JW and George are just beating everybody at everything. So the reason I think they are so good is because of their versatility. Let's say Augie and JW lose, fine. Then Augie and Tyra are going to step up and win their mixed match, and all of a sudden now they won 3-1. Or worst case scenario is they've gone to 2 Dreambreakers and they've won them both. So the ability to, especially during a long season, the ability to take a game loss where you may not think you're going to, but then still come out ahead and win that match has proven that the Flash are very versatile and can find ways to win even if they're not playing their best.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that impresses me the most about them is when Augie and Tyra clutch up. And they do. Augie and Tyra clutched up big time against us last year. They clutched up pretty big time this year as well. On paper, I don't have them as huge favorites against many of the top teams, right? You tell me Gabe and Kate are playing against Augie and Tyra, I probably shouldn't, but I am probably taking Gabe and Kate 60-40 in that match, even though Gabe and Kate don't have the most phenomenal results together. I still think they're a slight favorite in that one, but Augie and Tyra prove me wrong every time, and especially when it's in bigger moments. They really are a team that surprisingly and sort of out of nowhere, rises to the moment. Really, I mean, look, I just remember back to that match at the end of last year, which since you brought us down this path, where we're tied, or we're down 1-2, and Augie and Tyra are playing just their most insane match against Annalie and Will. Annalie and Will didn't even play badly. I'm on the sidelines, clowning and doing everything I possibly I was working harder than Annalie and Will, doing everything I possibly could to get in Tyra and Augie's heads, and they just were stone cold, clutch, and ripped it from us. They show up when it counts, which is just impressive. So
Agreed.
It's interesting to see they have those great lines and then another line that just seems to elevate at the peak moments. Because I mean, I would, like I said, I wouldn't have put them as favorites against Gabe and Kate.
Yeah, I think Gabe and Kate have much better results this year than they did, obviously, than last year. I think after their first event, they had more wins, but they are a really good defensive team. That Augie and like you said, Augie and Tyra clutched up, got the dub. I think those are the two. There's like 4 really really good 1A 1B teams in mixed, and I feel like, and any one of those 4 could beat each other up at any given time.
Yeah. Now,
What's
what do you
next?
think? Yeah. Well, what did you think about that women's match? I probably would have put Kate and Anna. I'd probably have that as a 50-50 match. I think the match against the Flash, I think Kate and Anna 50-50 against Georgia and Tyra, but I think it rests on the paddle of Georgia and Tyra, but they just looked out of sorts in that mixed match. Did you catch that?
Yeah, here's the deal, like, I know these are all top players, right? Like, everyone on the Flash and the Shock, I think, could be considered a top 10 doubles player, and so they're all really good. I need to lead with that. It didn't look like Anna Bright had her best day,
Mhm.
yesterday, and like you said, I think they looked out of sorts. I don't know what that was. Was that a strategic thing? Like, we're all humans too. Like, somebody could have a bad day, like, not feeling a touch or whatever and
J-Dub's
just
not
miss
human.
thirds. Okay, fine. J-Dub definitely not human, but, like, there are days where players just don't feel it, and that could have very easily happened. You know, the one thing that I obviously, this is not a huge deal, but I think they both played, like, 4 matches to get to that. Meanwhile, like, I think you guys played 5 or 6, the Ranchers played 6, like, it was a grind to, like, get to through the consolation bracket, and they didn't have a ton of reps going into Sunday, especially because this is the first and only, well, I guess in the playoffs, but this is the first time this year where we're not playing every match to 4 games. So, like,
Mhm.
the one that stands out to me was, the Ranchers, Caitlin
Yeah,
Christian
where
and Christian Alshon,
Christian played 2 matches the entire weekend, didn't
2
they?
mixed matches out of his
Yeah.
6, and so I don't know if that had a fact. Like, Anna Bright didn't play a lot going into that, is
Mhm.
what I'm trying to say. Could that have been a factor? I
Sidebar,
don't know.
though. Sidebar. I love playing to decision. We need to play to decision all the time. I don't care what anybody says, like, on, "Hey, we came here to watch X, Y, or Z player." Like, no, when the match is over, the match is fucking over. Like,
Yeah.
why are we still playing this? You don't play out the bottom of the 9th inning in baseball when the game is over. The game is over. I don't know. What do you think? Should we play those?
No, I think there's a better way to find, if at the end of the season there is some sort of tiebreaker with points, you can go head to head. You can go
Well, then
games one,
everything should
like,
be percentage based then, right?
yeah. So, yeah,
Percentage based.
I just know, for the most part, most of the players hate playing that 4th if it's already over. And even if you do have one of those psycho players that's just super competitive, chances are the other team isn't. And so you get some weird ass results in that 4th game. It's like, how did that? And then you realize, like, oh, it was already over. Like, it didn't matter.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of just getting rid of that. Although it does help me in my stats, because knowing that every player plays each one, I can, like, make it more equal. This was like, statting out the mid-season tournament was pretty difficult for me.
So the argument for keeping it is it helps Tice with his stats. The argument
Yep.
against it is that it's just stupid.
Yep.
All right, deal.
I
um,
think we made our case known.
okay, I cut you off. Sorry, I don't remember where we were at.
No, no, no. You actually didn't cut me off. I was asking where you wanted to go after that, and you wanted to talk about the women's match. Listen, Tyra and Georgia are really good. Like, really, 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 really good. So I think they're going to play a few PPAs together. I'm very interested to see how they do the second half of PPA season.
I thought they had some lined up, like,
Yeah, they do.
because they do, but have they played any together yet? I feel like they played a couple together, didn't they?
Maybe early on, but they haven't played together yet versus, like, the new super teams.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've said I think that's the only team that gives Anna Bright and Anna Lee a match, and I don't think it's regular. But yeah, I guess we haven't had that many opportunities to see them. We've had Atlanta, we've had San Clemente, and that's been it during
That's
the
it.
MLP season. So
Yep.
all right. So other interesting things that we had from MLP this past weekend was college teams versus pros. We had FAU Florida Atlantic University got to play in the Challenger League bracket, as well as a team of college all-stars, which just sort of seemed like whoever they could sort of throw together. Did FAU win some sort of national championship thing? Because there's different collegiate national championships, right? Texas won one with Jack, right? And then FAU won another. Enlighten us, Tice.
So FAU did not win. They came in third at the Collegiate Tour, which is that's the combination of DUPR and the UPA. Okay, so the Collegiate Tour is that FAU came in third. Texas and I believe Utah Tech were in the finals. I could be wrong on the Utah Tech part. So
Utah Tech sounds right. I think they have a good team.
I mean, Liam is like ridiculously good, but neither here nor there. They couldn't basically find enough of a schedule where like the winner could make the mid-season tournament. Their players were out or whatever. So they put together this team of mostly players that had been in the championship match.
That was the college all-stars.
That's the college all-stars. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I wish they would have just made one college all-stars team instead of getting, I mean, the FAU guys were good, but like
the FAU women actually,
the girls were the ones who
Florida
took the
Smash 11-5 in like, that was the only game win of the college. And so love to see that.
Yeah. Guys had what, 2 match points against Travis and Kaysen. They were points away from going up 2-0 against that team. Which is wild. I love this idea. I wish they made one real college all-star team to play against the challengers. Like put all the best players based on DUPR, however you want to do it, throw them in there. I think that was super, super cool. Super shitty for any team that had to play against them. Like you're a pro pickleball player, you got to play against college kids. I wouldn't want to do that. But
the pressure, the added pressure is that I know Liam Duffin pretty well. He's a Utah Tech guy. He's won like 2 All-Americans in a row. He's a really good like 5'5" approaching 6'0" guy. Like if any of those challenger guys takes the pedal off, like their foot off the pedal, he could easily get a win. And so I like your idea, and that collegiate tour always names for the past 2 years. They've always named All-Americans, like an East Coast All-American, a West Coast All-American. Let's get those, like if like you're talking about, let's get those All-American groups together to play against Challenger, and I think they could push a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that. I'd like to see that team a little more competitive. All right, Challenger League did not pay much attention until the finals, which was
you didn't really need to until then, because that was awesome.
Yeah, no shit. That was a great match. Ends up being 22-20 in a Dreambreaker, but you know, it was between Las Vegas and the Nashville Chefs, and the biggest storyline out of there was a bird from Michelle Esquivel to Pablo Tellez. Pickleball players, do you know any other sport where people are just flipping each other off left and right? Like, what other sport are people just dropping the one finger salutes like every single weekend? It seems like we had Feds done it. I feel like he did it to the cameraman. We had Tyson do it to Loong. We had Tyler do it. No, not Tyler. We had Pablo do it to Tyson's fans. Like, I feel
Kate
like every other week.
I think like
Kate did one. That doesn't surprise me.
yeah, it's very unique to pickleball. If you only have time to watch 2 matches, I would say Challenger finals and the Premier finals were probably the 2 best. But like that was super entertaining. To give people context, they were tied, I believe, after gender. So Vegas won one, and the Chefs won the other gender. And Pablo is playing with Zoe, and Michelle is playing with Marshall Brown in their first mixed. And things got heated. There's no way to know what was said. You can't really hear it, but like they were going after each other. Pablo was definitely chirping. I don't think Michelle appreciated whatever he was saying. There was a lot of back and forth. And then at the end, instead of paddle tapping, Michelle walked off and flipped Pablo off, and then continued to yell at the ref about whatever Pablo was saying for another 5 minutes. So it was wild.
Where do you feel like that middle finger ranks in terms, like if you've got to power rank all the middle fingers like of pro pickleball, where are you throwing that one?
I still think Feds is probably best.
Fed was just casually flipping off the cameraman though.
Oh yeah, it was just the cameraman. That's true. I mean,
like for funniest, maybe like
yeah.
So I've got a hot take, Tice. I'm throwing it in there at number 1. I think like Christians have all been kind of subtle, like not super like out there. He's done it a couple times. Pablo's were to the fans. Tyson Saloon was
probably
the most aggressive, I would say.
Agreed, because I don't think he knew he was still on camera. So it was like if you're Michelle, you're on camera. You're walking off like as the match is ending. You're still on camera. I would put those 1 and 2 then. Yeah.
I might go Tyson Saloon as the number 1. Michelle's was number 2. I just love she gets up there, no paddle tap. Like it didn't even cross her mind. Just a bird immediately like walks off, and it was a power walk off. I just thought everything about that was freaking funny.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
real quick, that one goes to a Dreambreaker, and obviously the Night Owls are favored heavily in that. They're just the women are so good. They have, for those at home, they have Brooke Buckner, Zoe Wong, Pablo, and they also have James Delgado. They were down 16-10 in their Dreambreaker, and then Brooke just kind of took over, and then Zoe took over, and all of a sudden they won 22-20. And I know a lot of people like look at the challenger level as like it's lower. It for sure it's lower, whatever. But like all of those players were super pumped to win that. Like there was a lot of actual real emotion going on, which I appreciated because I think challenger gets a bad rap sometimes, and these players are still trying their best and they want to win.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's not premier level, but it's damn good level. Like you can notice the difference in level, but it's damn good level still, right? These are still some of the best pros in the entire world. And there's nothing worse than some player who thinks that they're too good for challenger. That's just shitty. Like it's any match, just like go out there to win. Nobody's above any match that they're playing. So no, I liked to see all the emotion there as well. Is it electric final? All right, so other couple things. We had a bunch of players missing. I'm doing these recaps every week, and I'm like, okay, first couple weeks it was like so and so is missing, and then it was a couple people, and then we had like 10 plus people out this weekend, and it seems like it's getting more and more. And obviously, we had the big ones was QD out, but we also had Jack Sock and Jeannie Bouchard who were just playing tennis instead. Right? It seems like people are just bailing on their team at this point. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think this is the difficult part of a regular season where certain teams know that their odds of making the playoffs are exorbitantly low, and they are bailing on their team a little bit. I'm not saying that's everybody, or I'm not singling out players, but the reality is if you're like 3-18 and you're like, man, I got 4 more matches, this is going to be rough. Like you have to find the motivation factor there, because that you have to deal with that in sports. But I mean,
that's why the hard eights are our role models.
I know, man. Hey, gosh, it's so fun to freaking watch the hard eights. Like, I don't care if they lose every game from here on out. It's still fun as hell to watch.
Neither do they, I don't think. In the best possible way. They're like, we're just going to go out there and send it, and whatever happens, happens. We're going to try and ruin somebody else's day. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. Here's the deal. Like, the players have to find their own motivation. And if they can't do that, we're going to end up with more events where, I mean, I counted 11 significant, like, notable players that were missing from this tournament. You named all of the ones, but like Jaume wasn't there. Donald Young wasn't there. Like I could keep going down. Edda wasn't there. Like there's so many players that didn't play in actual like.
Do you want the full list? Let's see. I've got the full list. I've got QD, Deckel, Jack Sock, Jeannie Bouchard, Donald Young, Edda, Jay, Jaume, and Loon. And there are a couple more that I actually missed from there, I think.
I mean, technically, you didn't miss like Pat. I had Pat Smith on my list because he's the sub, but he also missed. By the way, did you hear what happened to him with his walking pneumonia?
No, I didn't.
So Pat did one of those interviews in between the matches in New York, and he basically got walking pneumonia and got super sick and is still recovering from that. It's crazy. Anyways, tangent. Sorry.
Am I dumb for what is walking pneumonia and how is it different than pneumonia?
No. I have no idea. He did say he was spitting up blood multiple times. And I was like, oh, that's terrible.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it sounded good. I just don't know what the difference between
me neither.
and
I have
pneumonia
no idea.
is.
No.
Okay. Well, thoughts and prayers for Pat. He was over there hitting this today
Yeah,
or
no,
this weekend,
he
which was
seems to
good.
be doing
So
better. He's better, but like not game ready.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll take a little while to get. If you're coughing up blood, I've got to think you got to be out for a little while. That's a good excuse. That's a much better excuse than going to play the Newport tennis tournament with a 59-year-old like Jack Sock did. How much money do you think Jack Sock got paid to go play this event?
Yeah,
What do you think? It's got to be like
is?
6 figures.
Yeah,
I think at the very minimum, I feel like that's got to be. I have a hard time thinking that Jack Sock would even do that for $100,000. He's probably getting paid at least $100,000 to show up to every UPA event. Like,
right.
and he
A
had
quarter
to have
mil?
known. I think $250,000 is probably the bottom. That's about where I was thinking for, because like he hasn't played a tennis tournament to my knowledge, and maybe he has. I don't know, but like since he retired, right, or anything, he
Yeah.
hasn't done anything serious. This is the first time
No.
I've seen him in like the tennis news, right?
Yeah.
And he had to have known that he was going to get flamed on the internet. Obviously, Bill Ackman is taking the brunt of it, but he had to have known that he was going to get flamed for this. And he knew like he wasn't going to win.
Unless I don't know the whole situation. Unless he like just like agreed like, hey, I'll take a bunch of money and I've never seen you play tennis before. And then maybe he didn't know, but I can't imagine that he would just like not play with him before.
There's no 59-year-old that would be competitive on there. Like no matter, you could probably take the best 59-year-old in the world. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, I'm going to play with the best 60-year-old that's ever lived, right?
Yeah.
Like it's still not going to be competitive.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe if he's got like Mansour Barami or whatever that trick shot Iranian dude, he could maybe hang. But man, that was ugly. And Bill Ackman and Jack Sock are getting raked over the coals on the tennis side of things. I'm here to rake them over the coals on the pickleball side of things. Why was he not with his team?
I have no idea. Love to see Pesa though. Love Pesa.
Yeah, dude. Of course, I love Pesa. I feel like everybody loves Pesa. Pesa shouldn't have been in the lineup this weekend. Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the last time we talked, I was like, the UPA has to nip this in the bud. Especially like it's one thing if you are bailing on a PPA for some reason or another. You're bailing on one or two people. If you do this, you're bailing on your entire ownership group. You're on your entire team. Everything. I think the stakes are higher. It's less individual, and I think that like it's more magnified when you have somebody when the team isn't full, as opposed to somebody who just missed a cup somewhere or another, right? Like,
right. 100%.
I think it's just a much, much worse look for the UPA on this stuff. So
yeah, agreed.
Forfeiture of pay. Absolutely not enough. What up?
Here's the epitome of what you're talking about. Okay.
Oh.
Rafa Hewitt and Collin Johns both played for 2 teams this weekend. They both played in Challenger and then they both played in Premier because we had a substitution issue and we didn't have enough guys on site. Like, how is like we can't keep having that type of stuff.
Right. I don't care that much if they play between the leagues, frankly.
Oh no.
Right?
Yeah, like no. I'm not saying it was like bad from a
sure.
competitive.
Okay,
I'm just saying like the fact that we don't have enough guys running around because we have so many players missing that 2 players have to play on 2 different teams.
Sure,
a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, no, we need to nip that in the bud. Now, they did very much so nip QD in the bud. In fact, they just ripped the bud out of the ground and lit it on fire.
There is no more bud. I don't know.
Yeah,
there is no more bud.
They nuked the bud. The bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, if you've been living under a pickleball rock for the last couple of days, QD, Wang Yun, Guangdong, whatever you want to call him, because people still tell me, even though I've asked him, that I'm saying his name incorrectly. We all know who I'm talking about. He got his contract terminated by the UPA. He's currently in Vietnam. He's posting about these different meet and greets, clinics, tournaments, all this stuff. Also, it sounds like he had a nose surgery was kind of the guise under which he traveled over there. I'm sure he did have a nose surgery, but it was very convenient that all of these other business opportunities, and in fact, he even posted that he was on a business trip with Bao to Hanoi for the first time.
Yep.
Very convenient. Sure gets his contract terminated by the UPA.
Yeah.
Tice, take. Go.
I just want to back up real quick to give a timeline. May 28th, QD got a $50,000 fine. He was suspended 4 MLP matches, and he was suspended from PPA Orange County Cup because of a very similar breach of what the UPA is calling a breach of contract, which is the exclusivity clause in all of the players' contracts, saying basically you can't do anything pickleball related outside of UPA unless it's prior approved. Cut ahead. We're like a month and a half after this, Zane. Like and all of a sudden, we're not only are we like in Vietnam doing clinics and things, but we're also posting about it on social media, showing everybody.
Gone back to Vietnam again in between. Yeah, I believe. Yeah,
like he did.
Not even. Yeah. This one was. This was brazen. It was It was like I said on my little recap. It was poking the bear, playing with fire, whatever you want to call it. It was as egregious as it gets, it seems like.
Yeah, and so here's the deal. I just want to be clear. Like, I don't think QD is making many of these decisions himself. Obviously, his dad, Duke, is there involved heavily with decision-making and making relationships. And so, like, at the end of the day, every pro player signs a pro contract, whether you're talking about pickleball or any other thing. There's contracts and there are things that you have to follow and like rules that you have to follow. And if they were not following those rules time after time, I think this is the only real way for the UPA to take action. I don't know what else. What are you just going to keep fining him until oblivion? I don't know where else that would take you.
Right. Yeah, no, it seems like they were like, to me, it does seem they should try to exhaust anything that they possibly can with QD, because he is so valuable, not only in Vietnam but all around Asia. He is the Shohei Ohtani of pickleball at this point, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he's not going to be, is the problem, because Shohei Ohtani was royalty in Japan, and Japan only, before he came to the States. Now he is an international superstar because of his success with the Dodgers and the Angels as well, right? Like QD can be God in Vietnam and Southeast Asia, but like to be the huge international superstar Shohei Ohtani type, you've got to have that success in the United States. Now, I think he's done enough to be extremely marketable for a couple of years in Vietnam, but this feels pretty short term to me, actually, right? Like they can cash out now, but I was just at the Milwaukee Brewers game a week ago, and they were playing against the Dodgers. Half of the stadium was wearing Shohei Ohtani jerseys in Milwaukee. Like, they were flying in. He's not going to get that same level of upside of being the star in the States. I think he's making more money short term, I'm sure. I think it's a bad long-term career move, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree, because at the end of the day, right now, his stock is very high. I mean, he's easily a top 20 guy in the world right now in like all disciplines, maybe somewhere around there, 25, we'll say, just to be safe. And he's got results. He's got some swag, and he is good at social media. He's good at relationship building. Like, he's good at all these things. You're right. His stock is very high right now. But if he hasn't won on a pro tour in a year and a half from now, where is the value add for him for these sponsorship brands type deals? Because if he's not winning, I don't know how he's going to stay as super relevant in the pro world.
Well, I mean, I think it's the Vietnamese brands. He made the shift to basically, away from Selkirk and to Saipak. And, I think he might have been wearing Mizuno shoes before. I could be wrong on that. But like now he's got Wika as his shoe and clothing sponsor. Like, he's doing all Asian brands at this point. So like he's focused there. So like the sponsorships I understand to an extent.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in like 2 or 3 years, whenever that sponsorship deal is over, what added value? He's going to have to figure out a way to have an audience that like really follows him, so that he can get more of those in the long term. So yeah, I agree with you. It is a little short sighted.
No, but I am going to be like, I'm just genuinely so curious in what exactly is going to happen. Like, I'd have to imagine he's got to partner up with some Vietnamese or Southeast Asian competitor tour. Do you think he makes? So here's the thing. Maybe I'm giving everybody too much credit here. I think Okay, going into this trip to Vietnam with all of these posts, there's only two possible things I feel like that could happen. A, they are so dumb and thought that they would get away with it. I don't think that's the case.
I
B,
agree.
they knew they weren't going to get away with it, and this is going to be the end of things.
Yeah.
What other options were there going into that?
Yeah.
I can't think of a third.
The only third is if they had actually followed protocols and asked for approval to go to these events.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
obviously, I don't think that they did that. Otherwise, UPA would not have terminated his contract.
So, I mean, if you are just going to brazenly break your contract like that, allegedly for legal reasons for the dink,
For the third time, allegedly,
yes,
time.
everything that Erik and I have discussed so far has been allegedly.
Yep.
You've got to know. You've got to know,
Yeah.
and you've got to have a backup, right?
Right.
Like I have to assume they're going to be partnering up with some sort of tour or tournament event. Like he's got to play somewhere. So
Yeah.
that's going to be very interesting to see. And I can't imagine we're super far out from an announcement on that. I would think.
If it was option 2, right? Like, okay, we know we're going to get hit with probably contract termination, and we don't care. Then, like you're saying, the plan B has to already be a plan B, and also I think probably some thought has been put into rolling out what that looks like as an announcement. So I agree with you. Real quick, I saw this a bunch on X, and I addressed it on X, but I just want to talk about this super fast. He no longer has a UPA contract. It has been terminated. That means he's no longer playing MLP, and he cannot play PPA. And for those at home who are like, no, he can. If you don't have to be signed to play PPA, you do have to be signed to make a main draw automatic entry. You do have to be signed. You have a gold card. That's what it's called. If you want to, like anybody can play a PPA, you just have to go through qualifiers. The problem is there's a rule that the PPA instituted this year that if you are top 50 in any PPA rankings in any division, then you cannot play in that division in qualifiers. So, and he's easily top 50 in all 3. So he essentially cannot play PPAs. So I just want to be clear on that because I saw a lot online of like social media people are like, no, he could still do this. I'm like, no, he cannot.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's some confusion of people saying that he's going to go play PPA Asia. No, that is the same ownership group. Like, he's not going to go play PPA Asia if he's not allowed to play. First off, all that stuff about rankings is true, but what's more true is they're just not going to let him play. Like, if he falls out of the ratings, does whatever, they're just not going to let him play. Like, why would they? Yeah. They have nothing to gain from letting QD play. So he's not going to play PPA Asia. He's not going to be playing PPA here in the States. He probably realistically goes back and plays a good amount of APP, I would guess.
Could happen for sure.
APP, because I did see somewhere or another that they're still based out of the States. Like, maybe that changes, but like, they should play the APP. So going back a little bit, you talked about, him still as a player with stock on the rise. I feel like his stock has leveled some, but
sure.
You mentioned that you had some other players or thoughts of who's on the rise and who's maybe on the decline ahead of the trade deadline, which happens on Wednesday.
So I didn't really say that in terms of like compared to the trade deadline. I just thought a few players had really good weekends at the mid-season tournament, and I thought I would highlight them. First and foremost, we already talked about our boys over at the SoCal Hard Eights. I think Blaine and Ryan Fu played awesome.
Electric.
By the way, they were the only men's team to take out Hayden and Gabe. Very good win there, 11-5.
With the point of the year, too. I thought it was 7, maybe, but I could be wrong. But
Okay,
Oh, yes, I think it was 7 because I think that electric point was at like 8-7 or something or another.
Okay, that's fair.
But it was like, what, a 20-ball hands rally between Gabe and Blaine, and like blitzed too. That was, I think that was the hands exchange of the year.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Another player that played very well for one of our 17 billion players that were not playing in the mid-season tournament. I'm going to mess this name up really bad. I apologize. Yuta Funimizu.
Yuta! Dude, he crushed.
He was really good. And not only like was his play very good, I've seen him a couple times. I know he's got to be a top 5 unorthodox pickleball player, right, on the pro circuit.
He's the new Jeff Warnick.
Yeah.
He plays the same
But
way that Jeff did, with a lot less shit
I'm
talk.
watching him and like, yeah, he's good. He's very good. His level is high. But like the energy he brings is also very good. I said it in my recap article. Like it's not the same as Blaine because Blaine is like super hype and like crazy the whole time. But like he brings like a little bit like more intense and like a little
Yeah.
less. But like his energy level is bringing that whole team up.
Yeah, it's intensity over loudness. I agree.
Yeah.
I noticed that for sure.
And then the last one that I thought had a really good tournament, even though she didn't get to play as much. Caitlin Christian, the Texas Ranchers, we talked about this. I don't remember the last time. I think the last time we did the pod together, like they kind of got lambasted about this trade. And I think without a doubt, Caitlin Christian proved that like she can play. I've seen her play the right side in women's, but like not very often. And she was great there. And like they had game points against good teams. She didn't get to play a ton of mixed because they were either lost in 3 or won in 3 a bunch. But like Caitlin Christian played really well, and I think proved that. I think that's a really good step for Texas because once they do get to some Dreambreakers, I think she's gonna really propel them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were very right on that one, as we always are, Eric. We're always right. Yeah, no, that we were some of the few that said that was a good trade for Texas. A lot of this is how you fit in, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, we can take even our team for an example. Like, Mari was having a somewhat average year in Challenger, but obviously you stick her next to Annalie Waters, and things are very, very different. Annalie Waters might not be the best example because she's so good, but just because of like, if you stick somebody in the correct system and correct style, like you can get a very good return on that player. And I think that's exactly
Right.
what Texas did. So
Yep. 100%.
I'm trying to think of trades now because the trade deadline
Yep.
is Wednesday.
Yep.
And
Trade deadline is Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I've got
you think some trades are happening? Like
Yes.
yeah, who do you think is being moved? I think this week is going to be. I think it's going to be a dud trade deadline. But you probably have better info than I do.
I've been talking to some teams there. I'll say this. I disagree with you, and I don't think it's going to be a dud, but you very well could be correct. I know that there are a lot of talks happening, but I don't know. So just because one team wants to upgrade a certain player at a certain spot doesn't mean that other teams are A, willing to take that player, or B, maybe that team doesn't have enough money. Like there's a lot that goes into this that more than just like this player for this player.
Yeah,
There are 6 teams though that I think could be looking to make a move.
and I'm assuming those are the teams that are playoff fringe teams.
Yep, exactly. Yep. I got the Hogs, Miami, Chicago, Utah, Orlando, and LA. Could they do something? Maybe. I'm not saying all of them are shopping but like I'm not saying like I don't want players to take that as like, oh, players are getting shopped. I've very rarely heard players actually getting shopped. It's more like somebody's calling and asking about, would you consider trading this player? And God only know. I mean, I don't even know. I think MLP is going to have to make up some rules for LA because of QD. Like, what are they going to do? I have no idea what they're going to do there. Maybe they find a trade. Maybe they pick somebody. I don't know. So there's a lot to happen in the next like 48 hours. Could be a dud.
Yeah, I just think of like, I don't think of the top 6 teams being Flash don't make a move, the Shock don't make a move,
No.
we don't make a move.
No.
The Ranchers, I don't think they're making a move right now. Columbus doesn't make a move.
Nope. Columbus is on the way up, right? Like you don't
Columbus
make a move
is
as your
absolutely
team
on the
is
way up.
you don't make a move as your team is getting better. And listen, I've talked about this ad nauseum. The next best team is Brooklyn, and once they get Deckel back, why would like what are you looking? I mean, the women are great. Deckel and Riley are good together. Plus, they're like amazing at mix. Like I know they have to get through this, but like they have MLP St. Louis, and then they're done playing until the playoffs, so they're not making a move.
Yeah,
so,
no,
I agree.
so that's why I think there might be some trades among the lower teams in the league. I just can't see any of those top teams making a trade, and I don't know what upgrades you could even have. Like if you look at all of the top women are concentrated among those teams that we just mentioned, right? with the exception of Catherine and Jade on the now somewhat defunct Mad Drops without QD. Although I do think that QD the doubles game is somewhat replaceable.
For sure.
Like AJ stepped in and done pretty well. They're not going to make a deep playoff run, but AJ stepped in and done well with them. Yeah, I think that there's probably a good amount of moves between those bottom teams, but I just don't see any like blockbusters. I wish you could, trade 2 for 1, right?
Yeah.
I wish you could. I wish
Or
teams
like
were allowed to get
yeah.
future draft picks, right? Like I wish we could get a little bit more creative with those trades, because then I think we would see some blockbuster deals.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you. The top 6 probably staying still. The middle 6-ish probably staying still, with the exception of Carolina, who could easily make the playoffs now with the record that they have. Not easily, but if Ben all of a sudden decides that he is going to make the playoffs, then I definitely think they can. And then there's some other like lower level teams that they're out of it and they're not going to make any trades.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, next weekend we have MLP St. Louis. The Shock play again in like 3 days. I think they play on Thursday, right?
Yep.
And the Chafitzes have said that this is going to be the best pickleball event ever. Not just MLP event, not just pro pickleball event, the best pickleball event ever. T-Dog, you think this is going to be the best pickleball event ever? That is like, I struggle with such enormous promises like that. Like, I hope it's true. Like, I do.
Yeah.
You hearing anything?
I couldn't agree more. I haven't heard anything. I really hope that it is one of the best. And here's the reason why. We deal with a lot of weather and we deal with a lot of situations in pickleball. If there was indoor venues that were specifically for pickleball that had really good seating, everybody would want to play there at the pro level. I loved going to San Clemente, love Peachtree Corners. Like those outdoor venues are very good. But if there was actual indoor venues that were very good, I think we would go there all the time. This is the first time that I know of where MLP is trying to make it work where it's a small stadium or small arena. Sorry. It's like 8 to 10,000 seating. And they're basically going to split it in half. One is grandstand, one is championship court. And if they can make that model work, you could do that anywhere all over the country, really, because there's all these little small arenas. And I think
like
that
G
would help.
League arenas.
Exactly. Right. And so I think it could be kind of a model for the future in especially MLP, because obviously PPA is a little bit different. You need like 50 plus courts.
You need more courts, right, for the amateurs. Right. Yeah.
But MLP is like the perfect thing where you really only need 2 courts and maybe like 2 practice courts, or you don't even need the practice courts as long as those practice courts are within 10 or 15 minutes of the facility. Right. It's fine. So I'm hoping that it is a really cool job. I would say from everything I've seen, they're doing a great job marketing and getting the word out there and getting people to buy tickets. And so I'm hesitantly hopeful that it is one of the best we've seen.
Yeah, also, they're obviously our rival, but like I hope that they lose all their matches, but I hope that it is a great event for sure.
Also, there are 4 like really good teams in that one. So the top level teams in that one are going to kind of beat up on each other. That's St. Louis, Dallas, Columbus, and Brooklyn. And Columbus and Brooklyn. Oh, go ahead.
That's 4 of the top 5 teams right there.
Yeah. Outside of you guys, that's 4 of the top 5. And Columbus and Brooklyn have a little bit added pressure because they are finishing up their season in St. Louis. So a little bit added pressure there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. Hopefully it gives us some more stuff to talk about for next week. Right. But T-Dog, you got anything else from this week?
No, I think I'm good.
Sweet. All right. Well, I've got Connor Garnett coming on in a little bit to talk about his school. We got Brian Levine coming on to talk about the DUPR algorithm update. We'll debate that one a little bit. So we got some other interesting stuff coming up for today's episode. But T-Dog, always appreciate you having you on. And if you guys don't follow T-Dog already, his name is not T-Dog on X. It is Erik Tice on X. He is where I get my pro pickleball news from. Writes for the Dink, all that stuff. Follow him and shit.
Yeah, at AZE Tice.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Thanks, Erik.
Yep.
All right. Real quick, if you've been on your feet a lot lately, especially at tournaments, do yourself a favor and check out these shoes from DUPR. They've got this tech called VersaShock that absorbs impact and gives some of that energy back, so you're not feeling totally wrecked by the end of the day. They also throw in 2 orthotics for free, which is usually like $100 from a podiatrist. High arch, low arch, whatever you've got, they've got you. They just dropped a bunch of new styles for the summer. Hit the link in the description and use code DINK for 30% off orders over $100. That's all caps DINK for 30% off orders over $100.
What's up, CG? How's it going, brother?
Yo, good to see ya.
Where are you at right now?
I am in Tahoe. So after a little MLP struggles, figured I'd get a little vacation out here.
Yeah. So you got a spot, or you just go? You said like, F it. I got like a couple days. I'm just gonna hit up Lake Tahoe, or like, how'd you end up there?
Yeah, I'll teach a little bit out here. So I've been going out here the last couple of years and just met some awesome people out here. So it's a little bit of coaching, but a lot of just catching up with everyone here. It's kind of the same group each year. So just a little away from pickleball kind of hiatus.
Away from pickleball, but still like teaching some pickleball.
Yeah, that's how obsessed I am with pickleball. My away is still on a pickleball court.
Yeah, bro, that's not my idea of away from pickleball, but I guess when I'm away from pickleball, I'm still doing the podcast and the recap stuff. I don't want to like be on a I don't want to be on a court when I'm away from pickleball. I like writing all the articles. I like talking to people and stuff, but I want to be off the court when I'm away from pickle.
I feel it.
So
What's the longest you've taken, like, where you just haven't done any like pickleball or like pod or any social, like anything pickle related?
Uh, honestly, it was probably our honeymoon. We did like 12 days last year with no pickleball, no anything.
Nice.
That's probably the most I've taken off since I started playing seriously in like 2018. That'd be my guess.
That's crazy.
What about you?
I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm notorious. Like everyone who kind of works around me knows. Like even when I'm vacationing, I'm always checking something. So I would say I've probably limited it to just responding to people and taken like a week off, maybe mid last year. But even when I'm kind of taking a break, like I'm always trying to do something. I think I have a little bit of ADD on it, and so if I'm not doing something, I kind of go crazy.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like I'm the same way. I'm a shitty vacationer.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, all right. So you're on vacation. You're hanging out. Who's checking your new school shit, dude? What's going on? Are the customers pissed? What's up?
See that's where I'm always dialed. With school, it's basically I'm just kind of giving video feedback in like a community page. So anyone there goes on and they can ask any questions. They basically get access to me. So that's kind of like the first part of it. And I think I responded to someone this morning. So I'm locked in on that part. And then we have some modules. So some of the teaching stuff that I've really found that's helped my game, I've kind of put in this platform to help people with their journeys. And then I'll do some video calls once a week. So they'll get to see a little bit of the Tahoe experience out here on Wednesday. But I'm always plugged in with
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to kind of ask you about, because like I think obviously the person who first sort of dove into school, in my knowledge, in the pickleball side of things, is Kyle Kazuda, and he's been like
Yeah.
crushing it. He's built a really good community. A lot of people love the school app that he like uses for his community. And I saw that you were on there as well, and wanted to kind of like ask you about that, because obviously like I'm a creator as well. I've got a million different YouTube videos. So I'm super curious. There's been several different attempts at like at what I called like YouTube videos behind a paywall, which I felt like never did particularly well. Like, what's the value proposition of somebody subscribing to Twoey Pickleball Academy? It's $52 per month. I'm looking at it right
Yeah.
now. I don't know if you do any promos or anything, but like let's say you're gonna coach me up, Connor, because like anybody could use a little bit better of a two-hander. I got a pretty good two-hander, not as good as you, and honestly, you should get Loong in your academy. But what do I
In
get?
Pickleball
What do I
recovery.
get when I?
Yeah.
What do I
No,
get?
I think that's like, I actually, one of my buddies, he did this for some like kind of e-commerce stuff, and he like told me about it, and then I saw Kyle crushing it, and obviously Kyle's built like a huge following on just like giving instructional videos, and so I kind of had to think about like, what's my value proposition? Like, why are they going to come to me over someone who's got the science down a little bit more on the videos? And so I really kind of, for like a couple months, was like, okay, what do I know how to do? Obviously on the pro side, I mean, both you and I know, like, you have to constantly keep adapting your game. And so I really wanted to take some of those insights I've learned and synthesize them in some videos, so people get a little bit more access to that. I think that's kind of the first thing that they get. And then the second thing is,
Wait. What does that mean? More access to that, right? Because
yeah,
you have a good YouTube presence. Like, are you putting out like different videos in your school, or like more thorough explanations?
more in depth. I think this is almost a way to kind of geek out. Like, I go really analytical on this, and so I think when I've been playing around with the YouTube algorithm, I try and keep it a little bit punchier on YouTube. So it's like, hey, like, this gets you
Yeah.
engaged, and it's like, this is a little bit more like, here's the like the big concept, not like, okay, here's like how we really break it down, what actually matters. I think one of the things that I got really excited about is I've been kind of tinkering around with some of my mechanics and really trying to find, like, everyone in pickleball has like a little bit different of strokes. And so I kind of went and looked and was like, hey, like, here is how I hit the shot. Here is how everyone in pickleball, these are the things you have to do. Now let me give you my flavor of like why I do these things on top of it. So it's really more granular, I think, is the biggest thing. And people on YouTube, typically, to get the most views, you have to go a little bit more high level on that. And I think that's the big differentiator in that aspect.
Yeah, definitely. So this is more for it's less playing the algorithm game. It's more about like, all right, you don't have to capture this person. They're already there. What's the best instruction that you can give to them? I totally get that, right? Like,
Yeah.
for me, I've had to adapt on YouTube to like, all right, how do I create a hook to make sure people are watching
Yeah.
for the first 30 seconds or whatever? It's like, it's not really what I want to do, but in order to get this to
Yeah.
its correct audience, you've got to like play the analytics game and that sort of game. But like, so you can focus right on the very technical, very granular sort of stuff, which you've got a small but like solid community. You've got 43 members from what I see right now, which means that you can also like, pay attention to them. And so it sounds like they can also like submit their game footage to you. You'll
Yeah.
personally review it and whatnot as well.
Yeah, and I think like one thing for me too, kind of on that note, is like, I feel like what gets me most excited is really being able to kind of share some of that knowledge and like just like learn the game. Like, I'm constantly learning. And so, to your point on YouTube, it is a little bit like you have to play this game of like, can I get this catchy hook? And so being able to have these one-on-one interactions with people, see their results, is just, it kind of gets me fired up. I think a lot of the things I do on the
Yeah.
side is like, how do I get excited about pickleball? And this kind of, I can see those results in it, and that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, definitely. You get like on YouTube, you throw something out into the abyss, and you like hope people, maybe they'll comment and say that they've like implemented it, and that's always awesome to see. I love it when somebody will say like, "Hey, this has really helped my game," whatever. And but like you actually get to see it through video evidence, and that's like, I guess that's an extra level of gratification there. And I will say like the YouTube thing is also difficult because I really can't think of hardly any absolutes in pickleball, right?
Yeah.
When I'm teaching a 3-0 how to dink, it's different than the mechanics are different between 3-0, 3-5, 4-0, 4-5, 5-0. You make a video on YouTube and you'll say one thing, and you can't give all of the appropriate context in a 5-minute YouTube video. and people take everything as absolute in these
Yeah.
videos when it's not. I think maybe 50% of the things that we do as pros are applicable to a 3-0 player. And
Yeah.
you just can't get that sort of in-depth conversation on YouTube.
Yeah, no, well said there. And I think like that's one thing that, especially like in-person clinics, you can really hit home. It's like, okay, like here is the rule, but here are the why you can make an exception to the rule. And so really understanding that, like across my teaching, people are like, oh, like you have to do this, like so and so said this, and it's like they did say this, but let's unpack that to that next level. And so this can kind of help get that like next level in a more universal way and just allow people to ask questions. I think that's another huge thing. To your point, it's these universal truths. Once people start asking a little bit more on them, they start to understand that, yes, this is a great rule, but we can break them. I mean, how many times do you see pros speeding up cross court now? And the conventional wisdom is like down the line and middle. But if someone's cheating really hard middle, I'm going to go cross court because now that's open. So, but then you get someone on YouTube saying like, hey, like you said to speed up line and middle. And so that
Right.
expansion on it is kind of fun.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's only so much that you can really tell somebody who's in their elementary or beginner phase of pickleball. You also don't want to, you can't override them with a ton of information, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would love to explain to, 74-year-old Kathy the intricacies of the crossbody cross court speed up. That's just probably not productive for anybody. Um, like, yeah. So the ability to coach to the player is good, but are you going to so how do you feel like you're going to keep that sort of intimate feel for your academy? Are you going to limit it to a certain amount of members? Like what's the ultimate sort of goal there for the school to a pickleball
Yeah, no,
academy?
no, 100, like, great question there. I think as long as I can kind of feel like I'm giving a personal touch to everyone and able to like hop in and be a resource to everyone, I think like the ultimate goal here and kind of one of the reasons I got into pickleball a little bit as well from investment banking is like do what you love and feel like you're making a difference. And then kind of like the monetization will naturally follow. And I think inversely, if you're trying to force something, people will feel that too. So I don't have like a finite number of people for that. But I think like for me, it's really important that people are having the results that they want to get out of this. And so it's a little bit of like, starting it out, engaging, maybe bringing in more people to help out on the technical side. Maybe it's capping it at a certain number, but really the focus is making sure everyone feels like they're getting personalized attention.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Well, I love having conversations around like the business side of things. You and I sort of share that with you as an investment banker before pickleball and me as a CPA before pickleball. Like, doesn't surprise me that both of us have sort of started to create our own businesses within pickleball because, there's plenty of time in the day to get our pickleball training done. What
Yeah.
are we going to do with the other 10 hours a day? You and me don't sit still particularly well. So it'll be fun to sort of watch on this journey, see how you scale or don't scale and keep it personal, like whatever that ends up being. I am, very curious and I think it'll be a good model for potentially other pros to have their own sort of personalized touch. I just found out that Hayden does something or another. Did you know that?
Yeah, he got on a little bit ago as well. I saw that. I 100% agree. I think it's kind of a cool opportunity for pros to get in and do something. I think it's really important as like pros get in that knowing that they do want like they have to put in the work to keep that community. So we're building the game, but I think it's really awesome. Hayden has won. I think he's done some match review with some players and getting a little bit of that big H flair in it. So that it's cool to see.
Yeah. What do you know what platform he's on? I'm trying to look him up right
So
now.
so it's on School as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Huh.
so
What's
School,
it
I mean,
called?
I think it's Pickleball with Hayden.
Oh, okay. Pickleball with Hayden. I'm looking this up. Huh. I find that pickleball school. Oh, I can't find Hayden's thing. Hayden, you need some better SEO, bro. Because Hayden's an hour and a half into this podcast, listening for any tips and tricks that he can get. Hayden, if you're listening right now, you need better SEO on your school, bro. If somebody else can find it, good. I was even gonna try and give him a shout out on this too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's cool. I think one thing that like I really enjoyed with our talks is like pickleball is not a net sum game where it's like you going in and doing something like this, Hayden going in, Kyle doing this. It really helps build pickleball and accesses like a larger market. So it's really cool to see. And I think the more we can grow and everyone in pickleball does a good job with this stuff, it'll just help the sport tremendously.
For sure, yeah, especially I feel like on the content side, like some people get defensive over content, or you copied my video or whatever. Like we're all just trying to grow pickleball YouTube and like
Yeah.
bring people in and care about the pro game or care about pickleball YouTube. And if that grows the way that say like chess YouTube has, like we're all gonna be doing pretty good.
Yeah, well, I've told every one of my YouTube viewers to not watch any Zane YouTube videos, but outside of that, then we're good. I'm just
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember this. This is like I feel like this was like 9 months ago or something like that. You had some video of like bad pickleball advice that
Yeah.
other people give, and I think I was on there. I don't think you actually used any of the audio that I don't think you actually used anything that I said.
No, it was more
good.
like just
That's an example of the hook. Like you got to get a good hook in.
Yeah, I hadn't been on YouTube for a while, and I was like, you know what? I want to get something catchy and have some fun with it, and threw like that on. I think it actually landed on XR. They accepted the collab as well, which I thought was kind of funny. As well.
Just roasting me. They decided that.
And it was like, it wasn't anything you said. It was like you're like high or something, and it just went like on it. But
yeah, exactly.
got some engagement.
I love fake pickleball beefs. Now, my beef with Chris Olsen would never be fake. We have real beef, but that's the that's the type of thing. I don't know. It doesn't bug me. I found that entertaining. So yeah, but that's another example of like you gotta like get a hook in there somehow or another for the YouTube algo.
And I mean that did
well.
well.
Hey, I got you back though. I saw that video, and then I published this one about the difference between the backhand poke, flick, and roll.
Okay.
And I said, send this to your buddy who doesn't have a poke, flick, or a roll. I'm sending it to Connor Garnett.
That's hilarious.
So, I got you back, bro. I got you back. we can go shot for shot. Trust me.
That's funny. I wish I would have seen that. That's good. I've been working on it too. That would have been.
I'll post it again. Don't worry.
Okay. That would have been a great story because I've been like in the workshop trying to get my flick better. So I could have been like, Zane inspired me. After that, I like cried a little bit, went inside, and then really reevaluated the flick.
A little redemption vid.
Yeah, a little redemption.
Dude,
that could be in the works.
Next, you should come sometime to Austin. We'll train for a couple days. We'll do a couple videos. I'll teach you a couple things. You teach me a couple things. Put it on each other's channels, like cross promo.
Yeah,
and like I think those type of things I feel like people love. Like when Jack Monroe taught me a few different things, like bait balls and like holding your shot and stuff. I honestly actually like learned a good amount from those, and I think the videos ended up being really good. So you ever want to come through Austin or have a reason to come be here, like let's definitely shoot some stuff.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I'm super down. That'd be fun.
We'll get you in pros versus 5-0s. I had a video just for you. You know, like in college where you had to have. There's this game that I never played, but I think it was called like Edward 40 Hands for Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
And you had like some bottles in both hands, and you had to like finish them, and they were like duct taped to your hands.
Yeah.
We're gonna duct tape 2 hands to the paddle, and you have to play both sides 2-handed. So everything is Twoey Nation. And you were the one. I was like, I've got to do this with Connor Garnett if we're gonna have a chance to win this.
I like it. I'm gonna be running around some forehands with that like crazy. I like it.
Oh, 100%. Sweet. All right, well, check out Connor's school on School. Twoey Pickleball Academy. Seems like it's pretty cool stuff. And any other things that you have, Connor?
No, I mean, I think it's cool. Like, just with all this stuff, like being able to grow the community, it's awesome. Like, I think when I started, just watch some of Zane's stuff, and it was cool to see like that, and having your background of accounting. I think like you seeing some of Tyson's stuff, like all these different players. It's cool, and hopefully with pickleball, like it can kind of keep leading more and more to that. And I think in like the heat of it, like I don't really see some of that stuff where I'm just like so tunnel vision, but I think I just probably it's worth sharing. Like when I got in, like you, Tyson, and like others were like kind of a huge help for me to get started. So always appreciative of that.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And people helped me. Like Tyson helped me with so much stuff. Just seeing what he did, and there were plenty of people before me, and there'll be people after me too. So yeah, we'll just all try to leave pickleball in a better spot than we found it. And yeah, so it's
What an
cool that
ending. I love it.
I want to feel good ending. We all feel so good now. All right, CG,
Yeah,
take it easy.
sounds
Thanks
good.
for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. See you later.
All right, so we don't normally do thorough intros like this, but I'm having Brian Levine on to talk about the DUPR algorithm and how you can hack your DUPR. But to establish that he knows what he's talking about, he's currently on the board of the UPA. He's also the co-founder of the Boca Paddle Club, which is a 100,000 square foot, 25 court indoor pickleball and padel club in Boca Raton. He's a board of advisors for City Pickle. And prior to all this pickleball stuff, he spent 25 years at Goldman Sachs, including 13 years as a partner. He served as co-head of global equities trading and execution services. So the guy is, we'll just say he's pretty smart. And he currently serves on the board of the IEX Stock Exchange, the University of Florida Athletic Association, and he and I were talking about the sports analytics work that he does now, which is his main focus, main interest. He's the co-chair of the Gator Accelerator, which is a sports analytics joint venture between the athletic and AI departments, which is pretty sweet. He's also a minority investor in NHL's Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, the Italian Series A FC Venezia, and also an esports team. So, I mean, there's a million different things that he has done. He's worked closely with DUPR, and more importantly, he understands DUPR. We're going to have a talk about what the change from the ELO type of win-loss model of DUPR to the new point spread DUPR means for people and how to hack your DUPR. So, Brian Levine. All right. Well, Brian, obviously the big news this week was the change in the DUPR algorithm back to a point sort of spread as opposed to simply wins and loss. And it does seem like no matter what change DUPR makes to the algorithm, the angry voices seem to outweigh or at least online, the angry voices seem to sort of take over. We had a really interesting sort of conversation about this in Grand Rapids at MLP this past weekend. And so I kind of wanted to just continue that conversation and bring light to what this sort of change means from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's long overdue. I mean, I think it used to be like that, and for the last couple of years, it changed. And I think it changed. Just to give a little background. I mean, I used to be a CEO of MLP, and that was when DUPR was part of MLP, so I was pretty involved with it back then. And it makes a lot of sense to account for points. I don't think it should be entirely based on point differential, but if you think about like the goal of pickleball, it is to win points, right? I think if you look at some models like ELO, that's designed for things like chess, where the goal is to win the match. Now, you could say in pickleball the goal is to win the match, but that's actually a misperception, right? Because strategically, you think about all the strategies you do. It's not to win the match; it's to win points, right? You are trying. You're strategically designed in every. Oh, sure.
Can we debate that slightly?
Sure.
Right, but there are certain strategies that. And I think that I'm looking at this from a pro game perspective where things do differ from amateur games. I think in certain skill levels, until you get to a point, I think you should hit your favorite shots to your favorite spots every single time. However, if I do that, my opponents adapt. And so I have to play suboptimally sometimes to set up another pattern that I want to run at a different point, right? I might go down the line a shot where I feel like I'm only going to win that maybe 40% of the time. However, it opens up different patterns that have a higher rate of success, right?
Yep.
So,
Right.
like, how do you? I might be sacrificing one point at the expense of another, but I do suppose, back to your point, it would be in pursuit of winning the most points total.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Is that you're sacrificing perhaps optimal strategy on each and every point to win the majority of points, right? Whereas in something like chess, you can't. The goal is to win the match. It doesn't matter if you're left with all your pieces on the board or one piece left on the board, right? So you might sacrifice pieces for the goal of winning the match. When you say you're not hitting your optimal shot, it's to set up other shots, right? You still know you need to win the most points, right? So in pickleball, think about it. When you think about your strategy, you're trying to maximize points, and the match just happens to be when the game stops. The game stops when it's the first player to 11 or 15 or 21. But your goal is to win most points. Now, and one of the nice things too is that you have all of this data. If you were just looking at who wins, you're throwing away all this incredibly valuable data that, it may not mean that much to people if you're playing thousands and thousands of matches, but for most people, particularly since the average DUPR user probably plays something like, 10 matches, you're throwing away all this important data. And there's also a lot of value in the subcomponents, which you haven't seen that much of, but, it would be incredibly valuable, to be able to look at what is your DUPR, in gender versus mixed, which I think that they're going to be doing fairly shortly. What is it gender versus mixed? What is it indoor versus outdoor? What is it, for someone like you in team competitions versus individual? Like I would think I would imagine you would have a better DUPR in team events than individual. And, I say that because I'm very similar to you. I think I play much better in team events than I do in individual events. I'd love to see what my DUPR was one versus the other. It's a different mentality. I think, you play it like a sprint rather than a marathon. When you've got, sure.
Couldn't you do that with wins and why is that? So I agree that that's something that should be done in the future, but how is the new point spread DUPR model make that any different?
Because
right? You could have been
when you have more data
tracking these things before or no?
When you have more data, your analysis is just more accurate. So think about if me and you play a match, if we just look at who wins and losses, that's just one data point, the win-loss. But if we played 2 out of 3 games, and it was, 11-9, 7-11, 11-5, you've got 50 points of data that, if you're not looking at point differential, you're throwing all that information out. Now, I want to be clear that it's not the end all be all. I would think if I was designing the algo that you want to factor in lots of variables. And just to give you a background, I've worked, I'm a sports geek too, so I'm into sports analytics and different sports teams. I helped start a sports analytics program at the University of Florida that the basketball team is pretty actively using. And in my prior career on Wall Street, I ran a quantitative trading business, right? So I'm quite familiar that you've got quantitative models that have potentially 1,000 factors that go into it. And what you're really supposed to do is constantly backtest and regress different models. And you're always trying to solve for some first principle. And that first principle, for the goal of a rating is to have the most accurate rating possible. You want to have a rating that I can predict, when Zane plays Brian tomorrow, what is the most accurate point spread, right? So you want to have that. So if that's your primary goal and you're not solving for, what I thought a lot of the solve was for before when you really just factored in winner must go up, right? That was the old rule. Winner must go up. You're solving for, the winning player, the ego involved with the fact that the player won but didn't cover the spread and I don't want to go down, right? But that's not how sports analytics works in any real power rating type of thing, right? So for example, the best example I think is like sports betting, right? If you're betting, if the Kansas City Chiefs are playing the New York Jets, right? If you bet on the Kansas City Chiefs and they were a 14-point favorite and Kansas City just wins by a field goal, you lose your money and you don't complain, right? Because they were supposed to win by more. Everyone accepts that. That's true. And by the way, if you looked at the NFL power ratings, win-loss is a factor, but it's a small factor, right? The other factors that go into it, point differential is huge, right? Strength of schedule is huge. There are other metrics like points per possession that go into it. It's actually fairly complicated, but that's what your DUPR should be, right? It should be a multi-factor model that goes into it. If you just looked at wins and losses, it's super simplistic. So you lose all that data to answer your question, and you don't want to lose it because it just makes it more accurate, right? And I do want to address what you were saying. Like I think where people, have issues with it is that in the extreme cases, and you can adjust for that. So for example, I do think winning matches, like you could win a match and actually get outscored in points. And if you were playing an equal player, your DUPR may go down. I do think that winning the match is worth something, right? So, finger in the air, I would say, like if you win a match, the win itself should be worth 2 or 3 points, right? So if, I beat you 11-9, from a DUPR perspective, maybe that point differential should be 13-9 or 14-9 or something like that. And whatever that point percentage is, you're factoring the actual performance versus what the predicted performance. If it's higher, then I go up, you go down. If it was lower, then I go down, you go up. And then it's calibrated off of that. I also think things like blowouts, like it should, like if me and you legitimately played, DUPR would probably say you should beat me 11-2, right? And if you beat me 11-0, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't think it should matter much, right? Because what we don't want is someone feeling like they've got to pour it on 24/7, right? As long as you beat me comfortably, it shouldn't make any difference whether you beat me 11-0, 11-3, in my opinion.
Right. So I think I feel like that's one of the things that I've been seeing online a little bit. People are saying whenever they play a DUPR match, now they need to try and curb stomp their opponents, even if they're playing, they're a 5-0 and they're playing 3-0 Sally at something or another. Like they're worried. First off, I feel like they just shouldn't put themselves in that situation. Like if you care about your DUPR and you are like playing against a 3-0, you either need to not do that or not care that much about the potential of it going down if you play nice with somebody or another. Do you think this has potential negative repercussions in amateur play for those sort of blowout matches?
Yeah, first of all, I wholly agree with that. I don't think that people should feel the need to curb stomp people. And, I think that if someone, it all comes down to how the algorithm is calibrated. I would hope that if the model for the 25-year-olds playing the 65-year-olds is supposed to be 11-1, it shouldn't make any difference as long as they beat them significantly. Now, if the score is 11-6, 7, 8, that should start factoring in. But I think it should be indifferent. The model should be indifferent to whether it's a pickle or it's 11-2, 11-3. So people shouldn't feel that need. And it's gradual. Like even if it's 11-4, it's a little bit, 5, it's a little bit. If it gets 6, it goes up gradually. So people shouldn't feel the need. Now, I don't know how DUPR's calibrating it. I would hope that that's the case. I think one of the keys for this to be successful, though, and it brings up an interesting point, is that what DUPR really needs to provide is what in Wall Street we would call pre-trade transparency, which is basically you need to know what the prediction is. And I think that's been the problem. I think one of the reasons why people have issues with it is that they don't know what it is. They just know that they played a match, they won 11-7, and their DUPR went down. Well, that's wrong. Like they should know going in they were supposed to win 11-4, and they don't know that. Sticking with the sports analogy again, right? It's almost like you bet on the Chiefs and they won the game. You didn't know it was a 14-point spread. Yes, you'll be pissed off that your money went away when they won by less than that. You need to know what it is. And I think you need to have transparency on how those things work. Now I know a lot of people aren't going to care about the nitty gritty of how much, all the factors of, does it matter if it's 11-1 or 11-3, but you need to see it. And I think once you start getting familiar with it, I think people will accept it a lot more. But they need to calibrate to make sure that it solves for that curb stomping issue, make sure it solves that winning does matter to some degree. But, the point differential is a really important thing. And it's something that's, I'll give you examples. I mean, in other sports, particularly, I know we deal with this in hockey. If your goal is to have a rating that maximizes the accuracy of a player's or a team's ability, it has to factor in point differential. In hockey, what's funny is, you've got win losses and standings, but that isn't nearly as accurate in predicting future performance as goal differential is. And the reason that is that in hockey, over the course of a full season, you only play 80 games, but a team has 500 goals. Right. So you just have many, and there's just so much randomness that goes into you win a lot of games because it's a bouncing puck, or there was a penalty call and they scored a power play. It's a shootout, things like that. Whereas over the course of a season, goal differential gives you so much more information to tell just how good a team is. And technically, there's even more refined stats like expected goals is even a better predictor of a team's future ability than actual goals, which is more accurate
Interesting.
than
So
a win-loss
expected
record.
goals being like you're in a certain situation, you get a shot off at a certain velocity or something or another, like you expect that to go in, a certain percentage of the time. Similar to in baseball, like when you hit a certain exit velocity with a certain trajectory, you're going to expect that to be a hit, some percentage of the time, but you happen to hit it directly to the left fielder or something on a line drive.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, baseball. Yeah, baseball's the best example. Baseball's the best example of that, right? Because you can't control where the ball goes. I mean, some of the recent Statcast stats in baseball, will measure barrels, right? Like what's the exit velocity and what angle did you hit it off the barrel of the bat to get the most power? But like you said, you could hit it, right at a player. They could have shifted a certain way, and there are plenty of things. All you can control is the best opportunity, and then there's a lot of randomness that kicks in. So if you're using a model to try to predict skill, you need to isolate out all the randomness that's in it, and that's why I think points is an extremely important thing. But again, it's the devil's in the details of making sure that it's refined so that it's truly accurate. And so DUPR has to make sure that there's a lot of transparency, so you know what you have, and people will start to get more familiar with that, I think, over time.
So the spread is obviously important, but something else that I think is probably important and just not necessarily trackable at the moment. You can track it for professional play, but rallies played, right? If the score is 11-0, but we played for 4 hours, you beat me 11-0, we played for 4 hours, and we had a million different side outs, the percentage of points won was probably 51% to 49%, which would be picked up as an 11-0. Obviously, that's a huge fringe case and something that you can really only track at the pro level, probably, where you have point, not rally by rally data as opposed to point by point data. But I don't know. I think this just gets me. This gets us both fired up with all the different feature opportunities and how to tweak, because I think in all of this analytics stuff, once you answer one question, it opens the door to 10 more. So
well, I mean, first of all, that's a great observation, because I've made that argument. I've been a proponent of rally, more than side out. As an analytics geek, side out to me doesn't make any sense. I understand that it's what we've done, and that's fine. But like you said, that's an incredible point, because actually what DUPR is actually doing when you say point differential, it's not really point differential in absolute sense. It's actually percentages, right? So the number that goes into the math is not that you that you won 11, you win 11-0, right? It's not looking at the plus 11, it's looking at the 100%, right? And so if you win 11-9 is not the same as winning 2018, right? It looks at point percentage. And like you said, it's side out. It doesn't factor in that if the defending team, broke the server 100 times in a row, in rally, the score would be 50-50. Inside out, it's still 0-0, and then a team could just go on a run and wins 11-0. It looks like a blowout, but it wasn't 11-0. It was 61-50, right? It's a huge difference percentage-wise. So that's a flaw that I think we just have, and that's fine. I mean, we could talk about like this future things that I think, once you have the camera technology, there are really cool ways to really attribute what the contribution is of a player. I mean, I love the stat of point value added, which is something that they use in baseball. It's a thing called WAR, like wins above replacement is what it is in baseball. You could look at a point and see what the value add was, meaning let's just say, when you start a point, the serving team on average wins 43% of the points, right? The returning team wins 57%. And that's obviously because of the rule that the serving team has to let the ball bounce. That's just historically the average. If you get off a great serve and the opposing team hits a weak return, if you freeze framed right there, you can, with AI, obviously not necessarily today, you could say, okay, before I hit my third shot, which I'm now hitting from deep inside the baseline, I may now have a 40% chance of winning, right? And if that's because of my serve, I just added 17% of point probability, right? Because I went from 43% up to 60%. And then you keep doing that throughout the course of the point, right? If someone hits a pop up, in your dink, and all of a sudden I'm going to hit a potential winner from above the tape, right? Is it my winner or is it your pop up, right? Do I get points added? Do you get a percentage of points taken away? I think ultimately, once you start doing that on an intra point level, you're going to get dramatically more accurate in terms of what players are contributing to winning points and then ultimately winning matches.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to my point, you answer one question and you get like 30 more. I find that type of stuff, that's more similar to what we mentioned before. Like when you put in the proper inputs, what is your likelihood of winning the point? You hit that good serve. How likely are you to neutralize that from 43% win percentage back to 50-50 or even higher, that type of thing? You can help players understand their own games as well. I had one
really
more sort of overall question, and it's something that I see all the time online that I feel like people say, and we're gonna role play a little bit. All right.
Sure.
I am a 60-year-old female 3.5 player. You are a 25-year-old male 3.5 player. All right. We can say we're 5'0". We're the same skill level, different genders and different ages. Are they
I'm
the same
visualizing
player?
this. Okay.
Yeah, imagine me as that 60-year-old 3.5.
Yeah.
Who
Are
wins
they the
that
same
match?
player? So what's interesting is there are definitely pockets, and in the algo space, we'll call it like interconnectedness, where it's very difficult to cross to really compare. And actually, the best example, really, you can start at the highest level, is just gender, right? It's actually really hard to compare male and female. And people will say, "Oh, there's mix." Mix doesn't help you in the data. It doesn't. It only helps you if you have 2 men play 2 women, or you have 3 and 1 within a match, right? Because mix, you still don't know which with the male or the female contributed to it. It's very hard to do. And I'll say, I play senior pro. I think our pocket of players in senior pro is probably a little bit overstated, based on what the win and go up logic is. And the reason that is because if you're playing with that in that old paradigm of as long as you win, you can't go down. Well, I'm generally playing against people in my community, right? People who are generally also over 50, like myself, and I'm winning most of those matches, right? So I'm going higher. And then we play against each other in senior pro, and I feel like we're a little elevated. And by that example, that means if I'm a 5'4", as a 54-year-old, when I do play 20-year-olds who are about a 5'4", generally they're better than me. And then I can't say always. I hate saying always, but generally I think that that's true. And I found that in senior pro that tends to be the case. And you could see it actually in the DUPR data. I mean, if you look, a couple of the elite female senior pros, like Sherry Corder and Angela Simon, who are great players, senior pros, they've got DUPRs that are the same or higher than some top female premier players, like Megan Dazan, Viv Glasvin, right? And so if you're DUPR, if Sherry Corder and Angela Simon played Megan Dazan and Viv Glasvin, I think we'd both agree that it shouldn't be an even predicted match. But that's a function of what you're saying, is the interconnect. So you really need to have more data to help clean all that stuff up. But I do think the cause of that bias had a lot to do with the win and you go up. So for like Zane Ford is actually a funny example. I was looking at before. His DUPR is only 5'7", right? And he's 20 years old. He immediately he's playing Premier League, and he's losing most of his matches in Premier, but he's only 20, 30 points higher than me. He'd kick the shit out of me, right? But that's just because he's playing in a place where he's losing 60% of his matches, and I'm winning 60% of my matches, right? So that's just a bias of the algo. As the algo keeps doing regressions and optimizing and getting better, I think those pockets, Zane probably goes up a little. I probably go down a little as it gets more accurate. So I just think that was really an issue with, that win and go up rule that was kind of jammed in. That just is not. It's not.
Yeah, a matter of.
So you're right. I mean,
they're playing against.
Yeah.
So okay, so there is some validity to that. Obviously, the idea behind DUPR is to keep things that a 3.5 is a 3.5 no matter what, but it's difficult as long. I think what you're saying is, a 3.5 is a 3.5 no matter what. If we had not necessarily, when we switch back to the points model, and if we had enough interconnectedness, that would level out the field, and a 3.5 would be a 3.5. Right now, because of these pockets and because of the way of the win and go up model, there are some certain disparities. I do sort of see that geographically to a certain extent as well. Like certain pockets are stronger or higher than they probably should be, or lower than they probably should be. It's way, 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 way worse with the old USAP ratings. Like, a 5.0 Wisconsin or a 5.0 like New Jersey is a million times weaker than a 5.0 California or
5.0 Boca.
Boston. 5.0 Boca is a great example too. 5-0, like Boca is, there's just 5-0s everywhere you can see over there. As well as
and I think
the
that
3, 5,
I do
60-year-old ladies.
Yeah. And I do think that this algo change will improve that. And a perfect example, like I think, like, just to use one example, no pressure on Zane Ford, but I do think his DUPR will go higher, because what's going to happen is he's probably still going to lose most of his matches, but because he's, hanging in against, think about it, like an average Premier League male is probably 6'5" DUPR, right? And like, he's hanging in as a 5'7", his numbers are going to go up, because now it doesn't, he's losing, but even if he's losing 11-6, 11-7, 11-8, he's going to be going up with each match, and he wasn't before. So I think these are all just tweaks to just make the algo more accurate, and I think it'll improve that issue. And it's these things are never get perfect. You just always, with an algorithm, I mean, like at Goldman Sachs, like it's never perfect. You can have the best quant trading model on Wall Street, but every day you're trying to improve it. You're trying to improve factors that make it more accurate. Your goal is to make it as accurate as possible to predict the next match, and that's what I think DUPR's change was. And there's no doubt that if that is your goal, and it's not for the egos of the players that win but don't cover, then it's going to improve. And I think still DUPR is the best one out there, and I think it'll improve a lot more.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'd agree with that. Now, me as somebody who loves loopholes in rules, who loves a little, hack, whatever.
We all do, by the way. You do? You don't think I like that? I love loopholes.
You, Tim Parks,
puzzles and games,
that
baby.
whole crew. Exactly. So I was going to make a YouTube video. At first, it was going to be a somewhat, facetious title of how to hack your DUPR. But if you are somebody that cares strongly about your DUPR and wants to put in no work into actually improving, because that's obviously the best way to hack your DUPR, do you see any hacking opportunities? Like, how would you maximize your DUPR based on your actual skill set? Assuming your skill set is, let's say 4.5, and it's not going to change whatsoever, how do you hack DUPR to improve it? I mean, obviously, some of the first one is like finding overrated players, right? You want to go play against overrated players, but anything else come to your mind?
Well, that's I mean, obviously, the one is you find players that are overrated, underrated, and but I think this eliminated a big one. I think that there definitely was a bias to be playing people that are worse than you, because again, there's a spectrum of, you're the favorite and you win, or you're the underdog and you win, right? There was this pocket of you're the favorite and you win but don't cover, and if you were the favorite, you had benefit because you still went up. I think that loophole was just removed. I think that was the biggest one. But obviously, if you're playing against players you think are underrated, the nice thing, I don't know if you're familiar, but DUPR recently added this reliability score. And again, I can't speak to, I know how that's factored into the algo. I know that the way it should be designed is that if you're playing someone who's underrated, but they're underrated most likely because they've only played, a few matches, they're going to have a low reliability score. And if the algo is behaving properly, you're not going to move that much whether you beat them or lose to them, right? Because what we're saying is when you're playing someone with a low reliability score, it's saying, I don't really know if this person's a 4-5, right? This person may be a 3-5 or a 5-5 because they've only played 5 matches and they've played against other people in their same little communities. I don't know what they are either. So the reliability score, you shouldn't move very much. Now they should move a lot on you because you should be 100 reliability because you've played 1,000 matches against people from all over the world who have played thousands of matches. So they should move a lot when you play them, but you shouldn't move very much at all. So I can just speak to, how the algo should work. I'm not sure exactly how it does. And, I do think that DUPR will probably be more transparent on a lot of these things so that it becomes clearer to people and they understand why they're going up and down more than they probably have.
Gotcha.
I know I didn't exactly answer your question there.
You didn't give me anything for my YouTube video that I'll make, but I'll have to make some other stuff up. But that's the idea, right?
You need to get someone,
you shouldn't be able to hack
you shouldn't. No.
And
it's funny though, like how people respond to their
DUPRs in that argument. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it funny that people care so much about what their DUPR is. Like you've got handicaps in golf and like, I don't think people kill themselves over, how competitive it is. And I think part of the psychology is that it's zero sum to a large degree. Like me and you, we step on the court, like I'm going to go up, you're going to go down and vice versa. And people compare it. I don't feel like in golf, people handle it the same way. And part of it may be also in golf is like, people are optimizing for different things. Some people may be optimizing for a higher handicap so they could win charity events. I don't know. But whereas people wear their DUPRs on their sleeve and, But you know what? As long as I think people handle it psychologically the right way, I do think it's helpful because you want to have even games, you want to have balance, and ultimately, in the pro game, you're going to want to have, a good betting market, and you're going to need, to have a good betting market, you need accurate predictions so that, there's a lot of good things you could do, and for tournaments and things like that. Like as we all know, like you can't see a single tournament being played where someone doesn't complain that the winning team sandbagged, right? And so like I think you get to a point, and for the team game, you balance, team DUPRs like minor league, DUPR 18, DUPR 20. The more accurate that gets, I think the higher the quality of play you're going to have, and people are going to be more satisfied. And that's what I think the ultimate goal is for DUPR, is to make it as accurate as possible, not to be a kind of a pissing match between one person and the other about who's better and who's worse. Hopefully that's where we end.
I like a little pissing match. Well, sweet. Brian, I appreciate you coming on. I think we could nerd out about this stuff for a long, long time, and excited to see where everything goes. Thanks for clearing some of this stuff up. Best way to hack your DUPR is just to get better at pickleball. Deal.
Yep, no doubt about that. And I appreciate it, Zane.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yeah.